1984 NFL Supplemental Draft of USFL and CFL Players. The 1984 NFL Supplemental Draft of USFL and CFL Players was a one-time draft of United States Football League and Canadian Football League players, held in the spring of 1984. Reason for the draft: in New York City on Tuesday, June 5, 1984, the National Football League held a draft for college seniors who had already signed with either the USFL or the CFL in an attempt to head off a bidding war in its own ranks for USFL and CFL players. The 28 NFL teams chose 84 players from 224 available during the three-round selection meeting. The draft was for players who would have been eligible for the regular 1984 NFL draft in early May, but had already signed a contract with a USFL or CFL team. The draft was implemented primarily with the fledgling USFL in mind. The owners did not want to risk potentially wasting picks in the regular draft on players who were already signed by another league, but also wanted to ensure there would not be a large influx of free agent talent in case the new league suddenly collapsed. The CFL, being a much more established circuit with strict limits on the number of American players on each team, was not as much of a concern, but was included to shield the NFL from potential antitrust litigation that might have arisen had the league targeted a specific rival with a supplemental draft. Of the 84 players selected, only 8 were from the CFL, with 76 from the USFL. The Los Angeles Express were something less than a juggernaut in 1984, with only a 8-7 record at the time of this draft. They finished 10-8 in the regular season and lost in the second-round semifinals of the 8-team playoffs. But their talent-laden roster, including future Hall of Famers Steve Young and Gary Zimmerman, proved popular as 20 Express players were picked, including 4 of the first 6 selections and 11 in the opening round. The eventual 84 USFL champs from Philadelphia were second with 9 picks. No CFL team had more than 2. Only one trade involving supplemental draft picks was consummated, as the Cleveland Browns acquired all 3 of the Chicago Bears' supplemental picks in exchange for the Browns' selections in the final 4 rounds of the regular 1984 draft. As a result, Cleveland made 6 selections in this draft, including Pro Bowlers Kevin Mack and Gerald McNeil, both with picks that originally belonged to Chicago, while the Bears made none. The other 26 teams made 3 selections each. First round, second round, third round. Selections by teams. Hall of Famers: Steve Young, quarterback from the USFL, taken first overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2005, Gary Zimmerman, offensive tackle from the USFL, taken third overall by the New York Giants. Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2008, Reggie White, defensive end from the USFL, taken fourth overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2006,